One of the funniest things that happened to me this summer was I went downtown Tempe with my good friend Father Parks, the diocesan priest right here in Phoenix, Arizona, and we engaged in what he likes to call tattoo ministry. We would go downtown, we would walk around on a Saturday evening, and we would ask people what their tattoos mean. Now, the interesting thing about this was the conversation immediately got pretty deep. You got to figure if someone's willing to stamp on their bodies something permanently, it's probably a pretty important thing. I remember we were at a Starbucks, and there was a young woman who was working at Starbucks, and we asked her what her tattoos meant. And she was in a medical student, but working at Starbucks and in some kind of medical field. And she had the Hippocratic Oath, at least part of the Hippocratic Oath, printed right on her arm. And it said, "First, do no harm." Of course, it said it in Latin. And it started a great conversation. Now, I've spoken on this forum before about tattoos and what do we make out of tattoos. That theme came up that same summer. I bumped into a tattoo shop called the Mark of Cain Tattoo Shop. Now, what's the Mark of Cain? It's a biblical reference from the book of Genesis. Cain was marked by God after Cain killed his brother Abel, so that others wouldn't kill him as Cain was off and running in the wild. What did that mean? I think it probably means something like the Mark of Cain symbolizes that he's a nomad, a straggler. He's been banished from God's existence. He's a murderer. He sees himself as a bad person. I don't know exactly what it meant in the context of the tattoo shop, but sometimes you can see that with folks who get a lot of tattoos, or at least I should say you wonder if that's going on. Is there a desire to grasp an identity, to make clear an identity, which up until that point maybe needs to be made clear, or which is fuzzy. Cain has lost a sense of what his identity is, and so God tattoos him. Now, there's another tattoo shop that I bumped into this summer, and it was called Sacred Heart Tattoo. Of course, Sacred Heart referring to the heart of Christ, the heart of Jesus Christ. His sacred heart being his human heart, which is also the heart of God. This heart which is pierced by the lance, which is tattooed, if you like, by the spear of the Roman soldier. Someone asked me one time when we were doing our tattoo ministry, "Hey, Father, would you ever get a tattoo?" My response was, "I already have." Now, I don't have any ink tattoos anywhere on my body, if I can share that with you. But Catholics believe that when we receive certain sacraments, we get spiritually tattooed. In our theological language, we call that an indelible mark. That's a spiritual marking. It happens in 3 of our sacraments, 3 of our 7 sacraments: baptism, confirmation, and in holy orders. When I was baptized, I was spiritually marked by Christ, spiritually tattooed by him. He gave me his identity. He claimed me for himself. I was a little baby, so I don't remember too well, but now as a priest I know how it works. The sign of the cross is marked on the person's forehead before they get baptized, a kind of physical symbol of what is happening spiritually in baptism. Like a little Cain, before baptism we're spiritually wandering, murderers, so to speak, if you like, in a kind of spiritual sense, not sure of what our fuzzy identity is. And then in baptism, Christ spiritually claims us, tattoos us, marks us. I wonder if people who struggle with knowing who they really are in God's eyes appropriated in a deep way what baptism really is. Christ claiming them and marking them, not with the mark of Cain, but with the mark of love, which we see marked in the very heart of Christ, which he shares with us in baptism, taking us into the church, taking us into his body. If they wouldn't have a lesser desire to mark their skin with a ink tattoo, which, let's face it, only lasts for 40 years, 60 years, 80 years, 90 years, realizing that they've been marked with a spiritual tattoo, which will last forever.